All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, we have a phenomenal guest this afternoon on the radio station airways. We are joined by Story of the Year's own, that's right, founding member and lead singer. We got Dan Marsala right here in the building. How are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing great. How are you?
Doing best I can possibly be, man. Just enjoying my week, and definitely happy that it's Friday and the weekend is upon us, man.
It's weird to hear founding member. It's like, oh yeah, like the founding fathers. You know, that means your band's old when you're like, oh, it's a founding member. He's really been here the whole time. He's an old guy. I love that. It's new.
But I gotta say as well, like you mentioned, you've been there from the start, man. You've done so much amazing stuff within the music industry. And jumping right into it, because I do know, of course, I'm not going to take you away from your Friday afternoon too long. I gotta take you back to the year '95, where you guys actually formed Story of the Year. But then it was actually called 67 North, and then of course, as years went on, turned into Big Blue Monkey. And I was wondering if you could actually just tell us the beginning story behind 67 North, and of course, what was it like just being the drummer of the band at the very beginning? Because I do know you transitioned to lead vocals around the Millennium 2000.
Yeah. Well, it's very complicated. Me and Ryan, our guitar player, met in like around '95, and yes, we had a band called 67 North. We were both actually guitar players in that band. I was always a guitar player and a singer. And that's like always what I wanted to do. But through the years, being from a small rock and roll scene in St. Louis, there's not much of a huge rock scene here, or there wasn't. There still really isn't, I guess. But there wasn't very many people that played a lot of instruments, basically. So I could kind of play a little bit of everything. So once 67 North was more like a Rage Against the Machine, kind of like 90s, like new metal, hip hop kind of deal, what everybody was trying to do whenever Rage got cool, you know? And then we wanted to do something more melodic and a little more kind of post-hardcore, kind of more of what we do now. But we didn't. We had our singer. His name was John at the time. I was going to play bass originally in Big Blue Monkey, but we didn't have a drummer. So I just kind of default fell into being a drummer. And then for a lot of years, I was our drummer until I was like, look, man, I don't really want to have all this gear and carry drums around all the time. I want to go back to singing. That's what feels natural to me. So right around 2000 is when we started just finding other friends to bring in and got Josh to come in on the drums, and I started singing. And Adam had already joined in Big Blue Monkey as well. So, yeah, it just kind of evolved over the years, being a local punk band in St. Louis, you know, and we figured out what we wanted to do. And then, yeah, it was actually more around 2000, 2001 when Story of the Year officially formed.
And I have to say as well, you are probably one of the most gifted singers I have ever heard. Just the way you can actually go from screaming right back into a soft melody. I don't know how individuals like yourselves do it, but definitely nothing but pure talent.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it is. It's something I've realized. Not every singer can really pull off the screaming and singing thing. But in my mind, like, I don't know, just the stuff I loved growing up, and it was like no option. It was just, you have to do both things. You have to do it all. And you know, I wasn't very good at it for a long time. It takes a lot of practice and figuring out how to make your voice work properly. But yeah, I do pride myself in being pretty good at it at this point in my life now, after 20 something years of working on it. But yeah, it's not for everyone though. I've destroyed my voice many times, is my point.
And also as well, in 2002, Story of the Year actually signed a huge deal with Maverick Records. I was wondering if you could actually just tell us the story behind that record deal, and of course, how did you guys ultimately get discovered by Maverick back in '02? Because I do know this record deal is what pretty much launched Story of the Year into mainstream success.
Yeah. Well, at the time, we were still called Big Blue Monkey actually when we got signed, but we had that's kind of like a whole long story about Goldfinger. But John Feldman from Goldfinger, we had gotten in contact through playing a show with them in St. Louis, and long story short, we threw demos and videos on their bus, and without them knowing, and they saw it and liked it. And John Feldman's manager called us at some point, and he's like, hey, or it was a woman, I think. She was like, hey, you guys want to go on 2 weeks of touring with Goldfinger? We're like, what? Yeah, of course. You know, we hadn't really toured much yet. We were just, we had moved to California as a band, to Southern California, and we all lived in one 3-bedroom house with 8 guys, and, you know, just trying to make it. And luckily, John Feldman took us on tour with Goldfinger. and he was an A&R guy for Maverick, so it all just kind of worked out. He's like, look, I would love to make your record, and I have connections over at Maverick Records. You guys should go do a showcase. And we did, and it worked out, and they liked us, and they signed us, and and then John Feldman made the record, and we lucked out that he's a genius producer, and he helped us create a really great record that we were not smart enough to create at that time. We had the songs roughly, but he was so good at just pushing us in the right direction and saying, yeah, that part sucks, don't do that. That part's good, do that more. And we lucked out on a lot of things, but yeah, now looking back, it's like, wow. It was the right time, the right place, the right people, and it's a good record. So,
And I do know you touch base on this story like many times throughout different interviews, but just in case listeners that actually aren't listeners that are watching right now actually do not know the actual story behind the bus incident,
yeah.
I have to ask, man, did you like actually throw the tapes through the windows, or did you actually sneak onto the bus and like place it in like their VCR or CD player or tape player or anything like that? Like, how did you guys really get the tapes and whatnot onto the bus?
Yeah, I don't exactly remember because this was 23 years ago probably, but I know it was our guitar player at the time. We had a second guitar player at the time named Greg, who was our original second guitar player. He was the one who walked. I think he opened the door of the bus. It was unlocked, and he's just like, "I'm going to sneak in here." And we had a VHS tape at the time because this was pre-internet. This was even pre-DVDs, I guess. Well, I mean, there was DVDs, but we couldn't. I don't know why we had VHS tapes, but we did. And they had a VCR on their bus. I think he went in, walked in the front lounge, and nobody was in there. I think he put it in the VCR. Either that or he just sat it like next to it. I don't really know, but he definitely snuck into the bus, and literally that's the reason why all of that ended up happening. Just because we were stupid idiot kids who thought that was acceptable, just to walk on somebody's home and just place things there. But it worked, and it's crazy. I would be pretty mad if that happened on our bus. I'd be like, what the F? I don't know. I'm assuming we shouldn't be cussing on this here, but
oh, we're actually uncensored, so definitely. Dan.
Okay, good. Well,
definitely.
What the fuck is what I would say. Yeah. But yeah, you got to take those chances, and sometimes they work out for you. It was crazy.
Hey, it's not every day a B&E actually leads to something positive.
I know.
That's
yeah.
all I gotta say.
No jail time, just actually a whole career came out of it. That's great.
And I do know as well you briefly spoke about this iconic album that actually dropped September 16th of 2003, Page Avenue. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this album, and of course, what was it like just being in the studio putting this huge sensation of an album together, because this album is still world renowned today. Like, so many individuals still stream it and love it and listen to it like it just came out yesterday.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were so young and like just so dumb. You know, you have like this nice, awesome naiveness, whatever that word is that I'm trying to say. You're just so young and just like have no clue how things work, and it doesn't matter. You just do things because you're just like, yeah, why wouldn't I do it like that? You know. And I love that like youthful energy that shows on that record, and it's just something you can't go back and grab when you're in your 40s. But the whole thing was so awesome. We recorded it at John Feldman's house. He had this like a normal little house in LA, it's somewhere in LA, and we recorded it literally in a bedroom, like a drum set in the corner of a bedroom, a board, and like a guitar cab in a closet. Just a little DIY recording. And John Feldman just happens to be amazing at getting great sounds no matter where he's at. So fun tidbit is it was exactly the same drum set and amp and in the same room that the Used did their first record on, because Feldman had just finished the Used self-titled record right before us. So if you listen to them both now, you can hear the exact same tones on everything. And we used to get compared a whole lot to the Used, which was fine at the time because we were big fans of the Used and all that. But over the years, obviously, we have separated our sounds in different ways. But yeah, it's crazy to listen back. It was just, just flying, doing whatever you could just to make a record. And we never had any expectations, never thought that we would sell millions of records or still be doing it 20 years later. It's just, we just wanted to finish a record and put it out and hope for the best. And it worked out.
And also, one of the biggest songs is actually Until the Day I Die. I was wondering if you could actually just tell us the story behind the meaning of that iconic song. Was that actually like based on a true story, or was that just lyrics that you guys compiled and just thought it was a catchy song?
It's technically it's about our band. I mean, yeah, it's true stories. I mean, it's just a relationship song, really. and the ups and downs of any relationship, which it has turned more into like a conventional relationships type of song. But I mean, I was writing it from the perspective of I'm living in this van or house or whatever with these guys that I'm devoting my life to. I'm hoping that all of this, works out for us. And it was such high stakes at the time. It was like, this band has to work. We have to be able to do this for the rest of our lives, and it was just a lot of stress in those early days and a lot of crazy stuff going on. And, as with any relationship. So it works on a lot of levels, but for us, it was more of just the guys in the band and the way our dynamics worked. And, but yeah, I'm happy now that, it turns into just every relationship song and everybody connects to it in a different way. And I think that's why it's been so successful, and that's why it works so well. Because every relationship has the times where you hate each other and you want to slit each other's throat, and then you love each other the next day. You never know, but it's just a classic kind of story, and it's great.
Yeah, many bands are kind of like a marriage in a way. Like you fight, you make up, and you just go back to doing what you guys love to do.
Absolutely, it is very much married to 4 other guys, and you got to make it work. It's crazy. It's a nice gay relationship though, so it works. We're very like-minded individuals.
But also as well, one of the last questions I have just pertaining to this album. While promoting the album in 2004, you guys also had the opportunity to be the supported act on Linkin Park's U.S. Arena Tour. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this particular tour, and of course, what was it like just being able to work and perform on the same stage alongside the late great Chester Bennington?
It was insane. It's still crazy to think back and be like, yeah, we did that. That is insane. For like 2 months straight, I played for 15,000 people every day, and hung out with Linkin Park and POD and Hoobastank. It was just a crazy huge tour. We were still pretty new, Until the Day I Die had just started hitting at like rock radio. I think K-Rock had just picked it up, partially because we were on tour with Linkin Park, not Goldfinger. I think going out with Linkin Park, it like really gave the whole band so much momentum and a lot of buzz around what we were doing at the time. But most importantly, they were just the nicest guys. They still are. All of them are so cool, such amazing examples of how to be an amazing rock band, and like the way you should treat people on the road. And yeah, Chester was always so awesome, a little crazy and a little weird, but as we all are in our own ways. It's a very cool, awesome memory that it still amazes me that it ever happened,
I have to ask, is there any fondest memories you actually have of Chester Bennington? Because I'm sure you definitely obviously spent so much time with them since you guys were on the road together.
Yeah. I don't know. We were so busy, it was like every day you're playing a show, so he would just be wandering the halls. They had bodyguards, which was the first time I had ever toured with a band that had bodyguards. So that's like just a fun thing. He had this bodyguard named George that we would mess with every day. We'd be like, George, let's go hang out with Chester. Let's go hang out with Chester. We were just such like little young kids, so annoying, but they were so nice. I mean, they were only a couple years older than us, but I don't know, man. I know we went to this. They were just so big, We were such a new young band. We had no idea how to function on the level they were functioning on. So like we would go to these weird after parties. We're like rich people go. We were like, I don't do this kind of shit. We go to dumb bars, and like just like weird stuff, and just I don't know. We were totally out of our element, and it taught us a whole lot on how what was to come in the future and how to be a real band. That's all I really remember. It was like, wow, they're on a different level than we are.
And also, April 22nd of 2008, you guys actually released your third studio album titled The Black Swan, that was produced by legendary John Feldmann, yet again, just like the first record. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this phenomenal album, and of course, what actually made you guys decide to bring John back for the third installment of Story of the Year?
Yeah, it was half and half. John Feldmann did 4 of the tracks, and then a guy named Elvis Basquette did the rest. And he's amazing as well. It was just kind of timing on that record. We had talked to both people about making the record. That's kind of how every record ends up working. You talk to who you want to do the record. It's like we get in contact with John Feldmann, which happened again on this new record that we just put out, Tear Me to Pieces. We had originally talked to Feldmann again about working together, and we were in the process of making it work, but that was during COVID stuff, and timing was just weird on all that, so we couldn't get together. and then he was booked up. So he actually referred us to Colin Britton, who did our new record. But Feldman has been there throughout the entire career, whether or not we work together. We're always in contact and always trying to do things together because he's awesome at what he does. And through the ups and downs on our second record, we kind of rebelled and wanted to make something heavier and make it different. But there was a weird strain on our relationship for a little while there, but that was mostly us because we were just idiot kids, like I said, and we thought we knew everything. And then you go, oh, maybe Feldman was right about a lot of this stuff. But yeah, it was cool to get back together on the Black Swan, and once again, he made some really cool stuff with us, and yeah, hopefully we'll do it again in the future someday.
And also, aside from Story of the Year for a moment, I do know you actually have a side project band actually called The Fuck Off and Dies.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could actually just tell us a bit more about what made you decide to launch that particular band. And of course, will we actually see some new material from The Fuck Off and Dies in the near future? Because I do know, obviously, currently promoting Tear Me to Pieces, and of course, you got a brand new tour coming up in January as well. Like, is there any Fuck Off and Die related stuff that's actually going to be coming up in the future?
I don't know. We just were hanging out the other night. The drummer of the Fuck Off and Dies is getting married soon, so we had an engagement party, and we get together all the time and have a few drinks, and we're like, yeah, dude, we have to be a band still, right? And like, we're still a band, but we haven't done anything in a couple years, mostly because we're all busy doing other stuff. But I would not rule out that we will do something in the future for sure. I don't know when. Nothing in the immediate books, but it's such a fun band. It was like 2010, 11. We all were kind of just so wore out from doing Story of the Year for like 10 straight years, touring and constant work, that we all kind of just started playing in other bands. We all just wanted to just try other things, have fun. So I purposely named the band The Fuck Off and Dies, so there was no option of it ever becoming a big band. I was like, look, dude, this has to be for fun, like exclusively for fun. And it got a lot more serious than we ever expected, but obviously it's just a fun side project punk band, and that's what it'll always be, and it's just a fun thing to do.
And also as well, March 10th of 2023, Story of the Year actually released your guys' most recent 11-track album on Sharp Tone Records titled Tear Me to Pieces. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about your most recently released album, and of course, where can we actually snag ourselves a hard copy if there is indeed any still available, because I do know that this album definitely flew off the shelves.
Yeah, man, we're very, very excited, very happy with the way it turned out. Like I said, we did it with a guy named Colin Britton, who is a little bit younger. He's a little younger than we are, but just an amazing producer. He's just killing it right now. He's done all the new Papa Roach stuff, A Day to Remember's, all their last couple records and stuff. Just a bunch of really cool stuff. He's just really smart, great musician, great songwriter. And yeah, he once again, it's like without his input on this record, it would not have been anything like what it is. And that's the cool part about picking the right producer is they're the captain of the ship, and they're the ones who are going to be honest with you and be like, look, that song's cool, but that's not like the Story of the Year that I think people really want to hear. And he was really good at telling us that. He's like, look, dude, you got to capture that youth that you used to have, capture that Page Avenue energy, but evolving at the same time. And I think that's what we kind of did on the record, and I'm really happy with it. I think we're already talking about sticking with Sharp Tone. They're amazing as well. They promoted the record really well. Just a great relationship over there. So I think we're going to try to do another one with Sharp Tone and Colin. We're going to try to get back in middle of next year, hopefully, and just keep the momentum going. We don't want to wait another 6 or 7 years because that just isn't the way to do it anymore.
And speaking of that album, man, absolutely phenomenal, but I gotta say 2005 is one of my absolute favorite songs. It really makes you feel like you're actually going back to 2005, like listening to music that you truly remember, and the video, seeing all you guys in the home videos, I gotta say, absolute masterpiece of a song.
Well, thank you. Yeah, just one of those, we wrote it in the studio. It was like, what if we were just sitting there with another friend named Nick Bailey, who's a songwriter in Nashville. We did the record in Nashville at Colin's studio, but we were just sitting around one day, and he was like, it'd be cool if you guys had like a title that was just a year. And we were like, yeah, like 2004, 2003. And we're all like, nah, that doesn't sound cool. And then just as soon as it's like 2005, and we just immediately was like, okay, that works. And we just started like singing, messing around with that chorus, and it immediately just came out. It's just one of those magical songs. It was so easy to write, just came out of just a genuine idea, and it was like, we know what to write that about. Let's just write it about the history of our band. Let's just put some nostalgia in it and just make it feel like our journey. And yeah, it's a special song. It's a little different for us. It's a little poppier than a lot of our stuff we've done in our days, but I think it's one of our cooler songs for sure.
And also, January 5th, you guys will be venturing on a 20th anniversary Page Avenue tour where you'll be kicking things off in Detroit, Michigan. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners what can we actually expect from this up-and-coming Story of the Year tour, and of course, like, how does it feel to be celebrating 20-plus years of this album?
It hurts a lot more than it used to, but but no, we just did the West Coast dates throughout November, like October and November. So this will be the second half of this 20-year anniversary tour, and so we already know exactly how it's going to go. It's been amazing so far. Some of our favorite shows we've done maybe ever in our career. Just to see the love for the album, to see the way people still react and still connect to it. To see some of the older fans bringing their kids out to the shows and like having this whole new dynamic of the young kids versus the older grown up fans that have been there for 20 plus years. It's really cool, and it's like inspiring in a new way. And it's just been awesome. We're still putting all the energy into the shows and having as much fun as we ever were. But like I said, hurts a little more than it used to. My body is not as agile as it once was, but we still have a great time. And yeah, these are going to be some amazing shows. So please come see one, everybody.
I actually bought myself 2 tickets actually to the Toronto, Ontario show. This is before, but then I got my college offer to go to college in January, and I start college literally the day before the show. So I'm like, I called one of my buddies that lives in Toronto. I'm like, hey, you and your wife want some free Story of the Year tickets?
Yeah.
You have them. He's like, wait, you don't want no money? I'm like, I don't want nothing, dude. Just go, enjoy it, but film some of the concert for me. So yeah. He's gonna go film a couple songs, so I kind of can feel like I'm there. But
yeah, that's gonna be a good one because we haven't been to Toronto or Montreal, which has already sold out as well. We haven't been to any Canadian cities in at least 6-7 years probably. So yeah, that one's going to be special. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss out, but that's okay. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be back soonish.
Well, hopefully I can have them like live stream it to me, like go on Facebook or something like that and video call me, that I can kind of be there. But
absolutely.
I got to say, Dan, aside from this phenomenal tour and, of course, this album that dropped in March, what is next for Story of the Year? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this afternoon's interview? Anything else you do still want to touch on, talk about, or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the radio station airways today.
Live. No, I mean, we covered most of it. Yeah, we're doing a bunch of touring next year. Not a lot of like U.S. kind of stuff. We have another Australia thing we're working on. We've been trying to get back to Europe forever, but it's just so expensive and impossible. Just a lot of like trying to get back to markets that we haven't been to in a long time because we haven't toured like this much in many, many years. So it feels awesome to get back to being like a full-time band again and just really devoting all of our time to this again because we're grown-ups. We have kids and stuff, and luckily they're all getting a little older now and they can accept that we might have to leave for a month at a time every once in a while. But yeah, it's everything's going great. We're excited, just happy to still be able to do this after all these years. And like I said, we're hopefully going to get back in the studio as quick as we can next year and keep the momentum going and just keep being a band. That's our plan.
I gotta say, I'm super stoked and super glad to hear everything that comes next from Story of the Year. Dan, I know I said this before we went live on the interview, before we wrap things up and we part ways. I gotta say thank you so much for years of amazing music. I've been a fan since I first heard Page Avenue. It was an honor speaking with you and having you on my radio station airwaves. And I know I can speak for millions of fans worldwide when I say thank you for making so much music throughout the years that we all had the opportunity to adore and enjoy for so many years. So if you keep making it, I know darn well we here are going to keep buying it and spinning it on our radio station airwaves as well.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. And yes, that's why we do it, so people will continue to enjoy it. Well, actually, we do it for ourselves mostly, but we're selfish in that way. But but yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate it. And please keep hanging around, keep listening, keep supporting. We love it. Thank you.
You're most certainly welcome, Dan, and definitely have yourself a phenomenal Friday afternoon. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon, and of course, safe travels next month on tour as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. Have yourself a great day.
Okay, you too.